Morning.
Hey guys, we'll get started here. I don't know, give it 2 minutes or so. Audio check. I'm using my AirPods today.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm always conscious of this microphone. I don't like when it's choppy or echo, you know. So these are brand new AirPods, fresh off the box.
Nice. Are they the pro or just the basic ones?
So these are the Pro. So I had
Okay. Nice.
the first generation ones, and then
Yeah.
I got the Pro because I lost the first generation one, so I got the Pro. And then while I had the Pro, I found the old one. So I was rocking two, had the old and the new, and then I lost the Pro.
Yeah.
So I was
That's
back to
usually how
just
it
having
goes.
the old ones, and now I got the Pros again.
Good. Good.
Hopefully I find my old Pros. How's the audio on this?
Sounds good.
It's the best it's ever been, Tommy.
Best it's ever been. Okay. Better than the mic that we're using for the agency meetings now?
You know something? Your new one that the one that you pin on your collar, that was a great improvement over what you were doing for the last couple months. It was
Yeah.
for me, it was a struggle for me. But the collar one, it was good, and this is also very good.
Okay. So what's nice to know is as a backup, could always use the AirPods, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Good to know. We will admit a few more people hopping on and we'll get the party started. All right. Let me get this camera hooked up. Let's see how this looks. See how this looks. All right. Welcome to mi casa. I'm at my house today. This is my bedroom. It's the only place where I could get good service, and I feel like it's less echoey up here. But everybody looks good. Everybody's ready to rock. All right. Looks like Matt Jans. I was gonna say, Matt Jans, did you get a haircut or something? You look good today. Maybe you just brushed your hair. But yeah, I wanted to start with questions for us today. This will probably be one of the last ones that we do for the year. We have one scheduled for Tuesday, and I still plan on running that one. But the week between Christmas and New Year's, we'll give it a break. So if you got some questions, ask them, and I'll do my best to try and answer them. If not, I could go over definitely some stuff that you can use over the holidays, and I'll go over some stuff to get you fired up for the new year. But yeah, we'll go around the horn. We'll give it a couple minutes if anybody has anything on their hearts.
Hey, Tommy.
Yes.
Hey, Stephen Ellis here. Just wondering if maybe you could just go over a quick couple tips for for taxes, like 1099. Just some stuff we could write off, or just any advice you have, starting off with that.
Yeah. So let me see if this is being recorded. All right, this is being recorded. So I have to start out with a blanket statement. I am not a tax advisor, an accountant, and I am not accredited to give any sort of tax or legal advice. However, now that you're asking, and with that being said, I can tell you what I know. And a lot of my, it's funny you asked that question, because I just finished up a phone call this morning discussing the tax plans, for this past year and this upcoming year, and how it's going to affect, the ability for me to have and build credit and get a loan. So I'll just start there, just so you understand, is that if you make $250,000, you can, and you do that for like 2 years in a row, you can go to the bank and they'll pretty much give you a loan for almost whatever you need, at that stage of the game. The bank's like, this girl, she's making $250,000 a year. She can afford to pay off this loan. It's $1,000 a month. If she wants to get an Escalade, it's $1,000 a month payment. She makes $20,000 a month. She can afford that. If she wants to get herself a $500,000 house, she can get the $500,000 house. Payment on that's $3,500 a month. So between her house and her car is $4,500. She makes 20 grand. She can afford those payments. Let's loan her the money, right? So what I'm saying, guys, is what the bank wants to see? The bank wants to see income. The bank wants to see that you generate income so that you can pay off this mortgage, which goes into, I'll talk about this for a second too. And it'll all tie in together now. My tax process is going
Just
to
a
be
question
different.
for later once you're done with Steven's question.
All right. Well, there is no end to Steven's question. So check this out. We sell mortgage protection, right? So why did the bank give Joe and Mary a mortgage? Why'd they do that? Can anybody answer that question?
They trust
Because
them.
they can afford it.
Because the bank did research on Joe and Mary. They don't just give people money. They did research on Joe and Mary, and you're exactly right. They found that after they've done that research that they can afford it. But what are the factors that they look at to make them deem them being able to afford it. What do? They say, you know what? She has a nice smile and he can bench 200 pounds, so they can afford it. Like, what do they use? There got to be some measurements, right?
They
What
look
do you
at their
guys?
income, their credit history, their bank accounts, their savings accounts, if they've borrowed money. I mean, it's ridiculous. We just bought a house. So,
Was it full doc?
hmm?
They call it full doc, and that's pretty much what most banks require these days. Full doc. They want every documentation, full documentation.
Yes.
You know. So yeah, you're exactly right. I'm glad you just went through this so you can give us more of the firsthand experience, right? All right. So they want all this information, and after they give it to you, then they're like, and you're sitting here like, oh man, I hope they give me the loan. I mean, what else can I do? So you got to get Credit Karma, guys. Side note, if you don't have Credit Karma, download Credit Karma. It costs you nothing. You look at that thing once a month, it tells you what to do. It's easy. A side thing with Credit Karma is you want to make sure that your credit card utilization is low, So like I have $100,000 worth of credit card if you use my credit cards, I could max out $100,000 right now if I want, right? But I keep it low. And if it ever goes like above 30%, your credit's going to be bad. So if right now, if you look at your credit cards, right, and you have 3 credit cards and they're all worth $10,000. So how much credit do you have available? You have $30,000 of available credit, and you're using $20,000 of that you've used up, right? And you're making monthly payments on $20,000 of credit card. You're at 66% credit utilization. That's no bueno for your credit. So you have to make sure that how can you get it down? What's the first way everybody thinks about getting it down is what? Well, pay your credit, pay off the credit cards, and that'll lower your utilization. Yes, but a lot of people don't know this, which people think I'm crazy, and that's why I got $100,000 worth of credit card debt that I don't use, but I could use it if I want like that, right? But I don't abuse it. But if you just go to a credit card company and say, hey, my credit's 10, can you bump me up to 15? My credit's 10, can you bump me up to 15? My credit's 10, can you bump me up to 15? Now you just went from 30 to what? 45, right? And how much are you using? 20. Now what's your credit utilization? Under 50%. You just lower your credit card utilization by not paying another nickel, by making 3 freaking phone calls. Boom. Check it. That's what I'm trying to talk to you guys about. Silly stuff like that. So if you get Credit Karma or whatever that Credit Karma, I have it. It's on my phone. I can't pull it up, but that's an easy way to just manage your credit right there, right? And that's going to help you stay ahead of the curve, and you can see live like what's going on. And then another thing is you don't want it when you pay off a credit card. A lot of people are saying to cancel the close the account. If you close your old accounts, then they're going to show that you only have like 3 years of credit history. You want to keep your old accounts to show that you have a long credit history, and don't close them. That's 10. If you have a $10,000 credit limit on a credit card over there, let's say you bought a furniture for 10 grand on 0% financing, and you paid that off. You still have $10,000 you can go rack up on that credit with Restoration Hardware if you wanted to. Don't close the account, because now you just lowered your available credit down 10,000. Does that make sense? Keep it open. For the most part. And you never want the cards to be closed by the creditor. If you look at your card and it says closed account and it says closed, canceled by creditor. No, you want all cards to be canceled by you. When they pull that up, they're like, why are these creditors canceling on this person? So you want to make sure that you're the one who cancels the account if the account ever does get canceled. But I'd recommend to keep them open and have them put nothing on them. Maybe a little bit here and there just for pay it off real quick or something, but keep them open. All right. And that's just some credit advice. But anyways, back to the thing is, what happens is when the reason you got to think that the main reason that the banks gave somebody a mortgage is why? Not because they got money in the bank. That's a part of it. Not because they got good credit, but the main reason is because they have an income that's coming in and the bank knows that they're going to get their money back, right? So if our client has a mortgage and they are the main income earner, think about this, and that income earner passes away, what are they going to lose? All the income. Hence, the income pays for the mortgage. Then they lose the home. So anyways, that's how important that is. But they look at how much income that you make. And just go back to this, being 1099, you control to a certain extent how much income that you want to show that you make. I could make $250,000, but if like what I did, my first year I made 120, my second year I made 250, my third year I made 512, my fourth year I made 937. I'm making $1 million every single year since. I get over $250,000 deposited in my bank account every single year before I even wake up in the form of residual income right now. So, making $250,000 was my second year in the business when I was like 25 years old. Didn't even know what I was doing yet. Just call it hard work. Showing up every day, being coachable, grinding, being 100% bought into what I'm doing, and selling out for my dreams and my family. And I didn't care who said what they said. I was going after one thing. Me, I was going for my dreams every day. I woke up, made it happen. This is before I had a wife, before I had kids. And I knew one day I was going to have a wife. I knew one day I was going to have kids. And I was single at the time, single. And I was focused on just getting myself set up for my family. And I love my family so much. And I haven't even met them yet. I haven't even met them. That's how hard I was working for them. For my unborn children. So I remember my second year, I made 250 and I thought I was slick because I wrote it all off. So I didn't pay much taxes because I was investing it back into the business. Right? Then I'm like, let me go get a house. And they're like, you barely made $100,000 last year. You want to get this house? I'm like, yeah. They're like, no, you need to show more income. Like, I need to show more income. That means I'm gonna have to pay more taxes. Like, oh man, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet next year. So the following year when I made 500,000, normally I try and write it all down. I had to bite the bullet, show more income, which means I had to pay more money in taxes. Does that make sense with everybody? So the house cost me more than it really cost me, if you feel me, right? But that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. So you want to be at the sweet spot and figure all that out. The first thing you do is you set up an LLC when you're small. When you're a small business owner, you set up your small business, LLC. When you get big, and I'd say when you start making about $1 million a year, you could start looking at going incorporated and setting up like an S corp for taxes. And then you make yourself the CEO of your S corp, and then there's company makes it the money, and then the company pays you money from the company, and you pay two taxes. You pay company taxes and you pay personal income taxes, and there's a sweet spot you can get within there as well to hit like the least you can possibly pay, which is still a lot. So me and taxes, I hate them. If you really want me to get going on taxes, I might start swearing out of nowhere. You might think I have Tourette's. Uh, I just can't. You just get me going on taxes, man. And it's, oh man, this is a never ending story, guys. I mean, where do we start? Where do we begin? Oh my goodness gracious. I just hate them. I don't even, there's not even like, oh, it's a love-hate relationship. It's just, I fucking hate them. You know, it's just the worst all the time, everywhere you look. So, you know, I'm going to continue to try to minimize my tax burden and my tax liability and continue to help us, everyone here. And hopefully we can help each other, all of us. You know, we're not, you know, we're not going to do anything, you know, illegal. You know, the whole line that we use in the home, right? Everybody knows the tax line in the home, right? Joe or Mary, you know, you get serious with them. You got now, Joe or Mary, there's really only two guarantees in life, right? You know those two guarantees, right, Joe? There's death and taxes, right? Now, I actually met a few people who got around paying their taxes before, but I never met anybody who got around dying. So for you, and then I would just roll right into the presentation, but everybody knows that line, right? So, so we're going to keep working and avoiding taxes as much as we possibly can. But that's just a little side note on that. On our personal level, you know, right now, unless you're trying to purchase a home, you know, my first 2 years, I wrote everything off, and I took all the money and I invested. Here's a big line. Just remember this, okay? This, if you don't remember anything else from this, this is it. I swear. Any money that you invest into your business, you do not have to pay taxes on that money. I was walking through the hallway in Seattle. Oh, what happened here? See if this will come back on. Okay. And we went to visit Rick Altig. Rick Altig, his father was a SGA, and then Rick's become an SGA afterwards, and he's been one for, geez, I'd like to say over 30 some years now, well over 30 years, maybe 40. Rick Altig is the most successful state director in company history. I'm walking through his office with him, and right now, I think his residual income, you remember Eric Giglione, guys? His is 200,000 a month. Rick Altig's is $1 million a month. Let me just tell you that this guy knows some stuff, you know? It's like, if I just knew like something that he knew, like just a little bit of what this guy knew, he got to know something. Guy makes $1 million a month in residual income. I'm happy with 20. I'm happy getting $250,000 a month, or $250,000 a year. So what are you guys drinking today? I got my Batman cup.
Got some water.
What is that, Amanda?
Diet Dr. Pepper.
Diet Dr. Pepper. I love it. Okay. I got a special
Haven't made
drink for
coffee
you.
yet.
I got a special drink. Okay. It's called the Adult Dr. Pepper. You take Dr. Pepper, you mix it with Saint Germain, and then you mix it with a little bit of Hendrick's gin. And it's delicious. I do like 1 shot of gin, 1 shot of Germain, and then as much Dr. Pepper as to your taste, you know? Anyways, if that's what you like. Anyways, what were we just talking about? refresh my memory before I start thinking about
Rick Altick.
yeah, Rick Altick. You know what he said? He said he stopped and said to me, he said, we're walking in the hallway. And in the middle of walking down the hallway, this guy just stops, turns around, and he's like, did you know that any money that you invest into your business, you don't have to pay any taxes on at all, ever? And then he just turned and kept walking. It was like, we weren't talking about that. We were just walking down the hallway. He's like, this is the office. This is where my reception is. We have our quality control section over here. And then like, just randomly out of nowhere, I just never forget him saying that. So there has to be something to be said about that, right? So from there, you can plan everything. So things that you could write off, everything. My accountant will disagree with that. Most people will disagree with that, but you can write off everything, man. I write it off everything. The workout powder. When you buy the workout powder, you make up your workout drinks. You know, I got to stay physically fit to make sure that my mind is clear to run the business, you know. And sometimes I make shakes for my team. I don't know. There's a write-off. I need this. It's a business expense. These cups are business expenses. And then what you do is you keep your finances organized. So what you want to do is you want to have a business checking account and a business savings account. And that's where your paychecks go. All your paychecks go in there. And then you have your personal checking account, your personal savings account. This you do whatever you want. So this is what I'm saying. You're going to do this and like mess it up or blame it on me or something. I'm just telling you guys, this is how I did it for me. And then I have my personal checking account, personal savings account. And that's pretty much what I ran with. And then I think I had like an extra little savings account or something where I threw some extra money in whenever I needed to hide it from myself. Oh, and then what I did is I opened up a bank account at the credit union as well. And I start hiding money for myself over there. So when I start getting my residual income, I got my residual income deposited into a savings account at the credit union. And I called them and I told them, I said, all right, I need to put this money in an account that's going to be hard for me to get it out of. But if I need it, I need to get it. But I need you to make it hard for me, like where it's going to be a pain in my butt, you know, like, because I know if it's easy for me to get to, I'll probably get to it. So it was kind of like just bury it. I call it buried it in the backyard. So I was just trying to, every time I got the money, like it didn't even come in. And if you could start to do that with your residual income, you know, before you know it, that residual income just builds up on the side. You forget about it. And it's just amazing, because what'll happen is 10 years from now, you'll have enough residual income to pay all your bills, and you'll have enough money stacked up where you literally can go do whatever you want. You know, and that's a good feeling. So anyways, then when you get paid, the money goes into the business account, and then you pay yourself from the business account, you know, whatever you need, right? From a tax standpoint, you're going to need to figure out, you know, whatever you're going to claim, and I would just plan on paying 33% of that, which you'll pay less. Or, you know, if you want to think about it, like if you end up making about 100 grand, let's say you made 100 grand, an easier way to do it is plan on about 20%. And you'll pay less than that. But those numbers can vary. So things you can write off is I like to say pretty much everything, man. There's very few things you can't. Here's what you can't write off. Let's go over what you can't write off. Okay. You can't write off money that you save in the bank. This is next level finance thinking. So you got to stay with me on this, guys. You wanted it, Steve Ellis. You can't write off money you save in the bank. Think about that. So here's what you got to realize. Here's what's tricky. If I want to have $100,000 saved up this year, let's say 2021, by the end of the year, I want to have $100,000 saved up in the bank, right? Make that your goal. Go crazy with it. Go crazy with just everything. Saving money, being diligent, making money, all that. But at the end of the year, all right, so how much do you think you'd have to save in order to have $100,000 saved up at the end of the year? How much would you have to save? What do you guys think? If you want to have $100,000, how much would you have to set aside that year?
$100,000.
It's more.
120.
That's what stinks. Well, if you're in a 30% tax bracket, you're going to probably have to set aside $130,000 because that's going to be earned income. You're going to have to make $130,000, and then you're going to pay $30,000 in what? Taxes, and then you can put $100 into your bank account. See that? So, you'd have to, that's the thing. What you can't write off is money that you save, right? What else can't you write off? Our personal expenses. Well, if you're always doing business, when's the personal expenses? Well, that's my argument. My phone bill is a write-off. Internet write-off. In your house, a part of your house, what's nice right now is especially now, the government is going to have to understand that a lot of people are working from home and they're taking on additional business expenses. So they're going to see a lot more write-offs. And one thing is the room that you're sitting in at your house right now is in fact a write-off. That room you're sitting in is a write-off. So let's just say that, your house, your mortgage, your rent is $2,000 a month. And your house is 2,000 square feet. And the room that you do your meetings in just happens to be, 500 square feet. You got a big, nice office, right? And that's 25% of your house. Therefore, you can write off 25% of your rent. So you can write off $500 a month, AKA $6,000 a year off your income right there. You don't have to pay taxes on. And I always do just 30%, guys. So if I think like this, if I can write off $100, that's like making $30 for me. Now, does that make sense? For every $100 that you can write off, that's like you just made an extra $30 back in your pocket. So that's why I'm so just big on just invest it back into the business. But I've always been invested back into the business guy. I'm just all back into the business. Like we get all the profits, whatever the profits are, we get all the profits, right? And whenever you get all the profits, you take all the profits and you just invest them all back into the business. That's what most businesses do to scale out, especially at the beginning. And then what'll happen for you is if you do that, you keep your head down, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if you're diligent, people are going to wonder, How'd they do that? Well, you know what happened? First years, they made an extra $10,000 in profits, and they invested they didn't go on vacation with that $10,000 in profits. They didn't buy Louis Vuitton. They didn't go to the Gucci store. They took their $10,000 in profits year one and found a way to diligently invest that back into the business so that the following year they profited 100,000. In year two, instead of going on vacations and acting a fool and all that stuff, they took the profits, found a way, invested it back into the business, and then they made $250,000 in profits. That was me, guys. That was me. My first year, I made a little bit of profits and invested it back in. My second year, I made like $200,000 my second year. So my expenses weren't that high. I had an apartment, and Casey was my roommate. How about that? I had a 2-bedroom apartment. It was $1,600 a month. It was 5 seconds from the office. Believe me, all we did is wake up, get our asses to the office, grind all day. Then we drive in the car. I hate to tell these stories because I feel like you guys just heard them before 100 times from everybody, but this is real, guys. This is real. Like, I'd wake up 8 o'clock. If we weren't at the office by 8 o'clock, it was game over. I was like, we're not gonna. I was already feeling like I lost, you know, because I mean, I felt like a bum. I felt like my dad's at the office at 8 o'clock. He works downtown. You know, I live 5 seconds from the office. So I'd be there every day, 8 o'clock, diligently dressed up, shaved up, suit, tie, everything ready to go. And we'd rock it in the mornings. You know, my schedule was pretty much, we'd recruit from 8 until 10. I'd make phone calls. I'd get all the recruiting done, call my pipeline, make sure everybody knew what was going on. And then at 10 o'clock, I had to go out to the lobby and host first interviews. So people were coming in for interviews, and I'm in the lobby. Hey, and I'd bring them back to my office. We'd sit in the office. I'd go over their resume with them, and if they were good, we would put them in the company overview. And if they weren't, then we wouldn't waste their time or our time. In the company overview, myself or the state director, but it was pretty much me for the last 10 years. I ran every single Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I was up there, boom, live, going over the company overview with everybody at 11 o'clock. And then 12 o'clock, I'd meet with my trainee, and then we'd hop in the car, grab some lunch, hit the field. My area would be at least an hour or two away, and I'd be out in the field till 9 o'clock, last appointment. Usually getting out of my last appointment, usually 10, 11 o'clock at night, another 2-hour ride home, getting in at 1 o'clock. Casey's getting in at 1 o'clock. Well, hey, what's going on? Like, let's get the paperwork out. And we'd sit down. And if you've been in our office, if you go in the back room in the office, where we have like the Christmas banner hanging up back there, the back room, there's no windows in it. So we had to put fake windows. If you guys know what I'm talking about now. That the back room, there's a coffee table, and the coffee table, like the lid lifts up, right? That was my coffee table in my living room, in my first apartment when I started with the company back in 2008. And that's where we did all of our paperwork at night. He'd sit there, I'd sit right here, we'd pull out the thing, we'd fill out all the oral paperwork. And sometimes I would be like, dude, I'm just gonna take a break, you know. And I'd sit back, and I'd wake up 3 hours later. There'd be like orals everywhere, and a pen still in my hand. You know, Casey's still up, like doing work on the computer. And then we'd have to somehow make it back to the office 8 o'clock and get it cracking again. But that's how it happened so fast, you know. And those extra hours here and there, those little opportunities that I mean, people didn't see that stuff. So I'm just trying to give you an idea, like what it was. There was no e-app; it was all paper. But at the end of the day, you know, your place where you live, that's a write-off. Like I said, if you lease a car, you could use that as a write-off. I don't know, the ear pods, these things are write-offs. If you buy like a polo and a polo for work, I write it off. You know, I write off my suits. They tell me I'm not supposed to, but I do. You know, I argue with my accountant a lot. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. Is there anything specific, Stephen, you wanted to know? Like, do you have any questions? Like, is there anything you were considering writing off or doing that, or I just kind of just went on a whole roundabout circle, up, down, and all the way around on that one.
What about cars, like gas, car payments, anything like that? Since we do drive out to our appointments, is that something that you would write off, or is that tricky?
Yeah, so if you own your car, I believe you can write off mileage. You can write off mileage, all your mileage. If you lease your car, I believe you can write off your lease payment.
I know
So,
if you own your car, usually writing off the mileage comes out to a better write-off than writing off like gas and stuff. You can only do one or the other.
correct. There you go. Yeah, you can't write off the gas, like how much, if you paid $100 in gas, you know, and you write off 100 miles, you can't do both. You have to write off one or the other for the year. Yeah, and mileage usually was the best for your dollar. Yeah. I was usually doing a good 30 some thousand miles a year, you know, at least.
So that obviously that means you're saving every receipt, you know, any gas receipt. If you were to file gas, you're saving it.
Yeah, I'll just do mileage anyways.
Okay.
Tommy, my question was, basically, I've heard that for writing off your, like your house, your room that you do like business in, like, you can't use like your bedroom if it's like where you sleep too, is that true? Like your living quarters, it can't be the same as like your office?
Yeah, but what if you live in a studio apartment?
Good point.
So you could write off the whole apartment payment.
I would just, if they came in, if the tax guy came to my house and he wanted to see my bed, I would show him, that's my bedroom. You see that bedroom right there? Look, see the bed? That's my bedroom. This is my office. See this? And then I'd make him a cup of tea.
But yeah, Tommy, I didn't really have any like specific questions at the moment, but I
Okay.
appreciate
I
all
don't
that.
know.
Those were
I
helpful.
hope that was helpful a little bit, you know.
Could you touch?
I do have one.
Sure.
When you were saying that you took like the profits and you invest it back into the business, what do you mean? Like, where were you putting the money? Like, what
Well,
were you picking up?
I was in leadership, so I was trying to grow my team. So what did I do? Oh boy. I had to get more time on my hands. So I hired an assistant, which freed up a lot of time for me doing all the day-to-day stuff, having to get the reports in, and you know, there's a lot more paperwork back in the day. There's less paperwork now. You can pretty much have a virtual assistant almost and get the job done all pretty much. You know, still not as effective having someone on staff in person, but I had to have somebody on staff in person to duplicate my time. You know, I only had 168 hours in a week. So if I had an assistant, I had 40 extra hours that freed me up to do other things, right? I didn't really pay for callers for appointments, but I paid for callers for recruiting. I hired my own caller and trained them. And then I went out and paid for resources. And then I gave them to call and schedule for me. So on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning, when it was 10 o'clock in the morning, they would give me a list. They say, Tommy, here's all the interviews we got set for you for today. And I'm like, all right, great. And then I'd walk out to the thing and I'd meet my interviews and I'd interview them. Hence the interview process. And they did a great job calling. They did screening on the phone calls. They weren't setting, you know, someone who wants to be a plumber, come into the office, you know, dressed in plumbing gear. Okay. They made sure that my callers knew what they were doing. And then they'd set up the interviews. I do first interviews with them and go through the whole process, you know? So yeah, that I did that shit. I created that. Nobody did it for me. If you want to do it, create it, make it happen. People say, how did he do it? He did it. He made it happen. He thought about it. He planned it out. And then he had enough balls to go out and invest all his freaking money into it and make it happen. Because I'm putting my money on me. I'm not putting money. Go ahead and buy some Pepsi stock. Who knows the CEO of Pepsi right now? Who knows him? Who knows him? What's he do when he goes home? You don't know. That's right. People go buy stock. They don't even know who runs the company, what the guy does when he goes home, or nothing. I know what I do when I go home. I knew what I do in the morning. I'm going to put my money with me. So I don't have no fear, no doubt, no worries, no hesitation, not a second in my mind, even though what's the cost? I'll put the money in there all day long. And as soon as I'm done, I'm going to go try and find more profit. And here's the difference. Some people seek ways to invest into their business. Some people sit around and wait for opportunities, and some people don't even know that's what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I'm always looking for ways to, like, man, if I got some extra dollars, where can I put it? Where can I put it? Where can I put it? I got to get my money. I got to get it working for me. I got to get my money and I got to get it working for me. And the only way I know how to get money is to put it back into this business. Because if you put into the stock market, go ahead, show me if I would have put $10,000 into the stock market, $10,000 in the stock market, and it grew by 10%. Okay. What am I going to have next year, guys? $11,000. I made $1,000. And let me ask you, what is the stock market grow by 10%? Does it? What's the 30-year average? More or less than 10%? Less than. So I could take $10,000, put in the stock market and get $1,000 return for a year. I could take $10,000, put it into this business, and $10,000 can buy me an assistant for $200 a week, 20 hours a week, and it's a win-win situation. This person needs a part-time job, and they just want something nice and easy, part-time, but they want to come help work in an office. Perfect for them. You know what I need? I need some help. You know? And you know what my team needs? My team needs me to be clear-minded and focused on the growth of our organization, not cooped up in the office, typing up reports or getting my stuff ready for the meetings. So I take the $10,000, I find a way to invest it back into the business, clears it up. Instead of making 100,000, now I make 200,000 the following year. What a difference. You took your 10,000 and you made $1,000. I took my 10,000 and I created an enterprise that's going to produce over $200,000 a year in income for me and my family for the rest of my life. But we didn't stop there, because I could take that I made $100,000 profit that year. I could have took that $100,000 profit and put into the stock market. What my financial advisor told me to do. Tommy, you should put that into a SEP IRA and reduce your taxable liability for your current year. You'll pay lower income taxes for the current year. I said, I'm not going to put that into a SEP IRA. I'm going to put that back into my business and I'll lower my taxable income for the year. Thank you very much. But you can do 60,000 into a SEP IRA. Yeah, okay. And then lock it up to on 59.5 and get 3%. Please. Oh, and then pay taxes on it later. That's even better. Thank you. Thanks for that one. And then you just make a whole bunch of money off me the whole time. I'll make all the money off me. And if I screw up, it's going to be my fault. Not because the freaking stock market crashed because of coronavirus. Stock market crashes because a hurricane hits over here. Everybody's scared about this. There's E. coli, there's an Ebola, there's this going on over here everywhere else. And then the stock market's up, down, all the way around. I can't control none of that. I can control me though. That's my philosophy on investing into the business. So what I invest into though was my second, my second wave around is I had recruiters. I spent money on ads. I paid for recruiting resources. There was nobody who had anything really set up. I had to just go and figure it out. It was the Wild West. It was the Wild West. You want to grow your business? Have at it, man. Go for it. What do I do? Whatever you can do. Who should I bring in? Bring them all in. How do I get them? Figure it out. All right, I guess I'll just start calling. It was no rhyme or reason. It was go get it. Now we're way more sophisticated. We're way more organized. If you want to get into management and leadership and you want to grow your business and organization, recruiting, we got a couple very solid recruiting situations, resources that you can easily just jump right into, and without even having to think, figure it out, plan it out, organize anything, nothing. It's already done. We got it organized for us, and it's working really well. So that's a blessing. Moving into 2021, when we grow into management and leadership, one thing is the person that can control and win with personal recruiting is always going to win overall. So whoever has and wins with personal recruiting, you ultimately are going to be the king or queen of the throne. You're going to be the queen of the mountain. We used to play king of the mountain back in the day, So, you're going to be the typically the top person, the top leader. If you can, do well at personal recruiting and you can teach your team, because that's the thing. If I master personal recruiting, I'm very well at doing it, then I'm going to be able to teach my people how to do it. So usually those two go hand in hand, and that team usually just can catch fire and grow. So when I was investing into the business, though, I hired a full-time assistant. I had full-time recruiters. I was paying for ads, and then also I was running contests for my team. Anything and everything I could possibly do to just pour back into the team was all I did, nonstop. That's pretty much where a lot of it went. But when you make $1 million, just keep in mind, if you make $1 million, you're gonna have to pay taxes on, probably you're gonna pay a good $300 some thousand in taxes that year if you claim all 1 million. So you only take home 650, let's call it. Like if you made $1 million, you'd only take home 650. Just so you know. I don't want to make you sad or anything, but that's my life. People think, oh, he made $1 million. Where's the $1 million at? Hello. I invested a lot of it back into the business, and then the government takes a lot of it as well. That's why you got to make a lot of money, guys. The point, my solution was I got to make more money. It never was anything else. The solution was never this. Oh man, I just got to just decide to live off of less. You got to lower your expenses. Sure, I managed my expenses, but my goal is not to lower my expenses, guys. That's a pretty poor goal to have. Your goal should be to increase your expenses. And the number one expense that you should want to increase is your business expenses. Think about it. If I'm investing $5,000 a week into my business, can you imagine how much money I'm making? That's a good spot to be in. And I always do the 1/4, 1/5 rule. So it's like, if I told you this, I was like, if you could invest $1,000 a week, but you knew you would make $4,000 a week, would you invest $1,000 a week? Would you? Would you invest $1,000 a week if you knew you would make $4,000 a week? But the problem with that, though, is you're really only netting 3. You're going to only net 3 because you're going to make 4, but you're going to have to invest 1. Then you're going to make 4, but you're going to have to invest 1. You're going to make 4, but you're going to have to invest 1. Are you okay with doing that? Can you handle that? That's the typical recipe that I've seen, to scale my business out. So then I was like, oh man, this is working pretty nice. Wow. I figured it out, guys. So let's say you did that and you found out it works. What would you do then? That's the question of the day. If you knew you could invest 1,000 and you make 4, so you're netting 3 a week, every week you put in 1,000 in for the week, you're getting 4 back. You're putting in 1,000 a week, you're getting 4 back. If you knew that, what would you do, or what would your question be?
I would increase it.
There we go. That's what I was thinking. If we're all thinking the right way, you should all be like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me if I do 1, I can get 4? I'm like, yeah, you just did it. Look, I know. So what would happen if I did 2? Would I get 8? I don't know. Let's try it out. And that's what I did. And it worked. And I start really getting the hang of this thing. After my 3rd year, I'm like, the more I keep investing into myself and into this business, and you got to level up, man. You got to level up. You think the person that makes 100 grand is the same person that made 250 for me? No. That guy back in 2010, was it? When I made $250,000, is not the same guy in 2012 when I made 937. Those are 2 different people. I wore different clothing. I thought differently. But you know what happened? I hung around millionaires for about 3 or 4 years, and then boom, all of a sudden, I make over 900,000 in my 4th year. So that's a lesson right there. Is I think about that. I'm like, yeah, well, think about who you were hanging around with. Think about that. That had to play a role in it. You were exposed to millionaires on a weekly and a monthly basis. Like Eric Giglione was one of the very first people that I was like, oh my, wow. I was just like, holy cow, this guy is something else. This is amazing. This is a real person. And he makes what? And he works same company I work for? No way. And it's better now than when he came in? Yeah. I was literally amazed. And then from there, boom, I keep meeting more and more and more people that are all alike as far as success and income goes, and all from this company. None of them are successful from any other, nowhere else. So that helped along the way. I know it did. And what I love is that they're all now my friends, and I'll be able to have us all exposed, and I want us all to be able to be friends with them too. And I promise you, man, that they're like me. Like if you came over my house, my mom would make you like sit down at the table and eat. She'd like, come on, you gotta eat, sit down. She'd like make sure and that's like the way that birds of a feather flock together. So like a lot of my friends are just like that, you know. And over these next few years, you know, we're gonna continue to make sure that everybody here is continue to be exposed to, you know, all the best of the best in the company as we have been. Um, and you know, I don't want to just be the only one, you know, that you guys are talking to. So I'm gonna always keep us, you know, each month or something, having somebody new come in and talk to us. But yeah, so hope that answered the question on that regard. I don't know what, you know, what you're looking for, you know, for that stuff, but those are some of the things I invested into. Yeah, I mean, pretty much, you know, anything that you got to be creative and think about, like, what can I do to get an edge? I mean, you go in my closet right now, I don't know how many suits are in there, you know, 100, at least 50, I don't know. But they're all, I use that as a way to invest into the business. So those are some things you can do to invest into it. But for next year, you know, the company next year. So just you know, well, let me go over Christmas pointers real quick. So over Christmas, over the holidays, you know, I'm sure we already aware, but on the phones, you know, we have to make sure we're using the right verbiage on the phones, okay? And during the holidays, I would even sometimes switch it up, beef it up a little bit more, add some extra things in. For instance, I had let's just go over basic, and then I'll give you this example. So just basic, a basic thing would just be just keep it in mind, guys. You know, we have to keep the basics and stick to the basics and master the basics. But you say so. So Joe, you know, that's actually the reason I'm giving you a call. They have me in your area over the next few days, catching up with the rest of the members. I have a really booked up schedule right now, but I can squeeze you in tomorrow between 1 and 2, or I have time a little bit later between 7 and 8. Which time works best for you and your wife? What time works best for you and Mary? So I'm seeing us not hit that verbiage, okay? We have to be busy, and the verbiage that you use there shows that you're busy. So the verbiage is, you know, and because what I'll say to them sometimes, and the reason I'm giving you a call is they actually have me in your area over the next few days, catching up with the rest of the members. I have a really booked up schedule. So you're telling them they have me in your area over the next few days. You could even say, yeah, right now you say catching up with all the members. I have a really booked up schedule, but I can squeeze you in. And then you give them 2 times, and you always set it on the hour. So you want to say between 1 and 2, or between 1 and 3, or between 7 and 9. Between 1 and 2, or between 7 and 8. Always set it like that. Why do we do that, guys? Why do we do that? Number one, so you don't back yourself into a corner if you're a couple minutes behind. And number two, the client doesn't schedule something. If you say, I'll see you at 1 o'clock, okay, great. They write you down 1 o'clock, right? So you show up, and at 1:30, he's like, hey, you guys done? My sister's here to pick me up. I told my sister to come pick me up at 1:30 because you told me that this was at 1 o'clock. I thought we'd be done by 1:30. So now the client didn't plan on enough time. So when you tell them between 1 and 2, guess what they have to do? They have to set aside at least an hour. They're not going to hit you in the middle of a presentation like, oh, I got to go meet my sister at Walmart right now, which had happened to me before. Like I'm literally arguing with the girl. She's in the middle, telling me she has to go meet her sister at Walmart right now. I'm in the middle. She don't have no life insurance. Her husband drives a train. He's gone all week. They got 2 kids. And they take care of their like sister's kid or something. No life insurance. Think about that. And I had to combat that. At the end, we got them all set up. But you know, yeah. So anyways, let's get back into it though. Over the holidays, I was trying to contact this client, and she's just like, I can't do it. I'm so busy. It's not gonna work. I said, all right, well, let's just get you on the schedule. That time will work good for you, right? Remember, that's a good line now, right? So she's like, well, I'm just so busy. I'm like, hey, no problem. Here's something you could say as well. You go like this. You go, okay, great. Well, you know what, Mary? When are you typically home during the week? Like, what typically, if somebody needed to get a hold of you, what would typically be the best time where we can catch you? And then I'll say something like, and I'll just mark that down on my file here. That way we're not contacting you at the wrong times. When's the best time? I'll mark that down on your file here, right? When they act all busy, say, I don't know, I'm just so busy. I was like, okay, great. Well, just so we don't call you at all the wrong times, I'll mark down on your file. What's the best time to contact you? When are you typically home and available? And she's like, wow, da, 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 da. And I'll say, okay, great. Yeah, well, Mary, like I said, you're one of the last members. And listen, if you say that, typically Friday and Saturdays are like your free days, what I do is I'll get you guys squared away on Friday early in the day between 1 and 2. And then you guys will be all taken care of. That time will work good for you, right? Okay, great. And we'll get how about what I'll do for you is they told me, they go, well, Tom, even when you could use this for the same example of like husband and wife. Oh, well, I don't know when he's home. I don't know when she's home. We're never home at the same time, right? I say, well, Mary, Joe, whoever I'm on the phone with, I'll just say, hey, just so I could mark it down on your file here. What is typically the best time when you and your spouse are both home at the same time? That way we won't be bugging you guys or anything. When are typically the best times to catch you at home? I'll just mark that down on your file here. And then I'll talk to him. Okay, great, perfect. Well, I know that you said like you're so busy, right? And like I said, Mary, I just want you to know, Mary, that you are actually one of the last members that I just need to get caught up with. And once I get the benefits out to you and your husband, I will pretty much have my area wrapped up. And they are telling me that if I can get my area wrapped up early, they're going to let me go home and see my family a few days early. So I was just hoping that maybe Friday I could just get you and your husband squared away, and then you won't have to worry about this anymore. And I know you said that's typically the best time. So right now I can get you in between even 1 and 2. That time will work good for you guys, right? What's she gonna say then? What's she gonna say then? Well, I'll tell you what she said for me is she booked the appointment and I got to see her and I finally got stopped chasing her around from all month, because I've been calling her all December. Back in the day, we got a lead pack I had to last you the whole month. 70 leads. Got to last you the whole month. So, does that make sense? Those are a couple of pointers on that, right? And then Christmas, I would tell the client, I typically say, Joe and Mary, you're going to do everything you can for your family. You always have. You've always done everything you can, and you always will. You're going to do everything you possibly can for your family. You're going to take them on vacations. You're going to make sure they have birthday gifts. They're going to get older. You might get them a car, right? And you're going to take care of them for everything that they need. And every Christmas, you're going to do everything you can to make sure there's presents under that tree. But I tell them, the best thing that you could possibly do for your family is, listen, out of everything I go like this, out of everything you ever could have done, out of everything you have done and everything that you will do today, the decision to protect your family is by far one of the most, one of the best things, or you could say one of the most important things that you could have ever done for your family. And what's nice about this gift is that I'll tell you, it's not going to probably look the best under the Christmas tree, all wrapped up like a bike, or your wife's not going to be able to wear it around town, and everybody's going to say, "Oh man, that family protection plan that you got for your family is just amazing. You're a great guy." But that gift right there is going to be the thing that makes sure that no matter what, because while you're here, you'll make sure Christmas happens. This is going to make sure no matter what, Christmas will always happen for your family, because they'll always be protected, Joe. So what I need you to do, Joe, is just make a promise to me that no matter what, you keep this program in place for your family. And as long as you keep your promise and you keep this program in place, then I can make sure that I'll keep our promise, and we will be there for your family like we have for the hundreds of thousands of other families that we've been there for as well. So, I tell them, so, something like that. So Joe and Mary, how long do we need to keep this program in place for? You say forever, right? Exactly. So as anything ever comes up, give me a call, shake your hand or whatever. But you could hit with some Christmas lines like that, letting them know that everything you could hit them during the sale too. And everything you've done for your family and everything you ever will do, this is by far one of the most important things that you can ever do for them. And you'll always make sure Christmas happens. But this right here, this isn't going to look like the best gift under your Christmas tree. You can say something like that, but this is going to make sure that Christmas happens every single year for your family. So anyways, that's some Christmas stuff for you. And the snow is going to be coming around next year, so we can get excited about that. January, February, even March, those 3 months, we can really take advantage of the snow. Everyone's going to be home. So we call that your snow ratio. You'll hear us make some jokes about that. Everybody's home, but we can get excited about that. And then just looking at 2021, we got to close out this week for sure. And I really, the only thing I would look at for 2021 this week is dominating this week, so that you are setting the bar high for yourself mentally. Because once you go there, you don't go back. Like once you do it, you don't go back. Once you do it and you can do it, you don't go back. So don't worry about your game plan for 2021 right now. Your game plan for 2021 is to mentally raise the bar, mentally brainwash yourself of what the past was and what the future is going to be. Okay. And we're going to raise the bar high this week and set that bar high. And to set the bar high, it's going to take everything that you got. From sun up till sundown, to the fat lady sings, to the final whistle blows in overtime. We might push this thing into overtime if we got to make it happen this week. All right. But let's leave it all on the field exhausted. And then the week after that, we spend time with the family. And we also spend time game planning and gearing up for 2021. So that's the game plan week right there. Have your goals and stuff in place, and make sure we get together. You get together with your manager, with your MGA, and schedule time during that week. Definitely I'd really want to try and get everybody's meeting in before the 28th. But if we have to do some on the 28th and 29th to kick off the year, that's fine as well. But we want to try and get all that stuff done. So the game plan mentally would be to close this week out then the following week, just make sure we sit down, have everything mapped out, game planned out. We'll sit there, work with you. And then we'll kick off on the 28th. It'll be really like technically the first week of the new year, and then we'll have a big meeting on the 4th, when everybody's back and focused. We'll have a big meeting on the 4th and kick things really into gear. So that's it, guys. Let's have a great weekend. Appreciate your time today. And let me know if you need anything.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks, Tommy.